Commissioner, stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good morning. We'll start off with public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Tim Ravendahl. I just got a question, and I don't know if it's proper to get an answer now, but if not, that's fine. But I'd like to find out what the policy is for the county on spraying for mosquitoes, and how that compares with the law of spraying mosquitoes on private land. A couple weeks ago, the county was out spraying mosquitoes, and they were on private land and didn't even know it. And they were there during the middle of the day with the bees and everything out, and I got bees and stuff out there by where I live that are, in fact, I just came from the garden when I seen the truck coming up the road. And it used to be a policy where you don't spray for mosquitoes when the bees are still out, wait till early morning or after dusk or whatever. But this was way before those hours when the truck came up, and the worker, which he didn't know, he said he didn't know, he thought this was all public land. And I just kind of concerned. We got one neighbor that grows his crops, depends on bees, and like I say, there's a lot of, just my main question is what is the law regarding the county going on private land spraying mosquitoes without landowner permission? Maybe that'd be the best way to put it. So again, if there's no answer, because it's improper to give me one at this point in time, I'd appreciate something in writing, making that clear for me. Thank you.
Next thing is probably get ahold of the coordinator, Scott Dunning's the coordinator, and refer to him. Would be my suggestion.
Okay, well, again, because the commission is overseeing those departments,
I don't know.
thought I wanted to bring it to your attention that, this is a concern. I talked to my neighbor that grows his alfalfa and for his horses there, and he said, he says, I couldn't believe it when I seen them come up the road either at that time of day. I mean, and it's one thing, we don't like the quote-unquote threat of West Nile virus. We don't like to get bit by the critters, but at the same time, when is this proper versus not proper? You know what I'm saying? I'm just concerned there about what we're doing out there. And again, it was on private property. When I asked the young guy that's working for the county if he knew he was on private property, he said, no, this is public. He says, because there's people that live back here. And I mean, just, it's just not right.
What time was it?
About 5:30 in the evening. Like about four hours before dusk, even.
That's on White Horse.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't like the mosquitoes any more than the next guy. In fact, I despise the little buggers, but at the same time, like I said, I just had left the garden and watching bumblebees doing their job, and I got honeybees that are coming from someplace that are coming around, and they're going back and forth through there all the time. And again, I guess not to belate it any further, but beat it, but this is private property, and I was never asked as a landowner and a private property owner if I was good to go with mosquito spraying, period. I understand the county has the authority. If somebody doesn't take care of weeds, the county can come in and do so and charge that landowner for that expense. But being the weed department and the mosquito department are now combined into one, I'm kind of wondering if we really know what the rules of the game are. If you would look into that for me, that'd be awesome.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I'd say get a hold of Scott Dunning. So, we'll see what find out on that.
Again, I come here first because I think it's important
Yeah.
that you guys
Oh,
are aware of this
Yeah,
and straighten me out if I'm wrong. That'd be good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. That's all I have.
okay, yeah, we'll see what we can find out on that. I'll also try and get a hold of him too, I guess. So, unless somebody else knows for sure on it.
What's your phone number, Tim?
439-5860. And I left it home, so I don't have it with me. I don't carry my electronic leash with me like most people.
Give me that again. 439.
5860.
Okay.
I guess I also owe an apology to the young guy that's working for the county, because he didn't know, and when I jumped him about it and asked him, he was more than cordial, you know, he just didn't know.
Yeah.
He was directed to go spray, and that he was doing his job, and so, but, you know, I gotta admit, my frustrations with what was going on rose to the top, and I voiced my opinion.
Okay.
Sometimes that stuff happens.
Yes.
There, I better shut up before I get myself in trouble, right?
Any other public comment? Okay, good. Minutes here for July 24th.
Move to approve is submitted.
I'll second the motion.
Move to second to pass the minutes for the July 24th, 2017 meeting. Go to a vote, all in favor,
Aye.
motion passed. Is there any update on anything?
See, I attended the hospital board meeting, the Rocky Mountain Development Council meeting, and also a meeting with Gallatin County and Jefferson County on the Williams Bridge projects.
Meridian.
Meridian, yes.
What's gonna happen with that, Mike? Can you give just a quick update of what was discussed?
It's a state project. We have to, each county's gonna donate, or gonna put in $5,000 for the grant to fund the project. Is probably 5 years out to do the project. And that bridge is gonna move back onto the county line instead of where it's at, so it's straight instead of having an S-curve come into it. So this is just the process to get the grant to do the project. I believe that was in May that grant would come up.
Okay,
And they were gonna advertise that in each county, so that so like our engineering firm, Jefferson's and Gallatin engineering firm, could both have a chance to put in a request for proposals from those people, so we see who gets to write that grant. Is that what they were?
Pretty
And
much
Gallatin
that's it,
County is
yeah.
pretty much gonna oversee the project.
Yeah, they're kind of
Okay.
ahead of it.
Yeah. Cause evidently our commissioners got their commissioners drunk in 1914 and made them sign the bridge over off the county line.
It's a good story, and who's around who can.
That was 1914, I wonder who the commissioners were.
17, 14 or 17?
Huh?
14 or 17? Well, right in that time
It was
frame.
1914, yeah.
Okay.
So there's other ways of cooperating.
right. I had to miss that meeting. We had a Board of Crime Control transitional team meeting. At the same time, that's going along, I think, as well as it can be expected to be. We also had an ambulance board meeting last week, or ambulance meeting. We are at the point of 10 years for our four-wheel drive ambulance. So they are working on the bid to get responses back on what we can expect for cost and what some of the options are. And then I attended the Northwest Energy reception for area businesses. That was good, some good networking opportunities with some of our area economic drivers. And that was it.
Yeah, I was at that meeting with Jefferson and Galvin County on the bridge and, or the Meridian Bridge, and then I had knee surgery last week. Okay, anything else? It looked like, well, we'll wait a little bit, there's a COS, anything else to be brought up right now? Not, we'll go with some mail here, here's, Department of Health and Human Services, and looks like this county's gonna get, this is for the alcohol tax revenue, $9,129. That'll be coming in fall of 2018 apparently. Public notice from DEQ, and just permit categories, general permit for sand and gravel operations. And it just goes on with it, there's time for the public comment, stuff like that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
is that sand and gravel operation going?
that's evidently throughout the state, it says on there, other than Indian reservations, but there is
Oh,
one
it's
here
a
now.
statewide.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we got Formaco, deductible billing statement. This is on that auto liability in the county extension vehicle. And the amount due is $1407.37.
Mike, I'm gonna pass that back to
Probably have to
you.
get a claim for that.
Yeah, it needs to go back to the accounting office.
State of Montana Environmental Laboratory, the test on the well at the silos recreation area came back good. Sent to clerk recorder, budget financial, this is estimated county liability for unused annual sick leave balance. This is for Allison Costa, county extension agent.
Franklin, that's personnel stuff, should not be brought up here.
Oh, okay. It was in the mail there. It's got the mail. I don't know if there's anybody here for COS. I guess the other's got this, we're discussing now from county attorney's office on this case coming up on Lloyd Bars. He's the one involved in the death of the detective here.
I don't think we have anything to discuss until Corey brings that forward. One, it needs to be noticed. Two, there's an awful lot of background work that needs to be done. So it's not something we can make a decision on until at least it's noticed and we
Well,
have a
I know it'd be
conversation.
no decision, I just know if we want to do any discussion or not. If not, that's fine. Anything else with the mail? Anybody else have anything to bring up? Got a little while before our next person is here.
Quite a bit of homework items that have come through on email. So we have the analysis going on with Eric Bryson, and I would like to, and this is at his request, send an email to all our folks who will be involved to give them a heads up. If that's good with you, what I would like to do is send you a draft and then send it out to department heads. What I'll do is probably give just a couple hours for you guys to respond so we can get it out this afternoon. Is that good?
Yes,
You
good
guys?
with me.
All right. And then the second one is this has been an ongoing issue for a while. We do not have updated atlases of our county roads since 2007, the public safety, sheriff's department, ambulance, that kind of thing. We do not have our new roads, our new subdivisions going to dispatch. We need to have, I've asked some folks to come in and help us with this. We have got to have a discussion and figure out how we're gonna do this. It's fundable by 911, which is state funding, but we need some cooperation between some of our departments. So what we would like to do, we being the planning department, is to have a meeting a week from Wednesday on the 9th with Zerker, 911, Commission, Law Enforcement, and GIS, and see if we can't figure out how to get this back paid for by 911 funds so that public safety has access to that information. Any questions from you guys?
Who was that planning?
Planning, Sheriff's Department, Commissioners, Zerker, and 911, State 911.
Was there a time?
10 o'clock, maybe 10:15 on the 9th of August. And I believe it's in the book already. Morning, Matt.
Morning. What is that system called? GIS?
GIS. Yep. Our county planner has received calls at night at home asking where particular roads are. When there's a 911 call, that is not the time to call
Yeah.
a employee at home and ask how to get there. So this is, before we have a catastrophe, we really need to address this. I also have, on another subject, I sent an email this morning with the quit claim deed. We've just acquired the golf course, baseball fields, and rod and gun club, and what used to be the old Broadwater County Poor Farm, which is 10 acres, from the National Park Service and Bureau of Reclamation. And Mia was here for the trust board meeting last week, which I forgot to mention on my update. I did attend the trust board meeting. And this is a letter that Mia wrote, and we put it combined from the trust board and the commission on letterhead. And I would like to ask that you guys join the trust board in signing this. And what it says is how wonderful particular employees were to work with through the process at Bureau of Reclamation and again, National Park Service. we have the advertisements right now for that new board, which will be the 2 people from the county, 2 from the city, and 1 at large. And what we're gonna have to do pretty quickly, regardless if we have all those positions filled, is have a meeting about the contracts. They're gonna be concessionaire contracts instead of leases, because the county cannot have leases, but we can have concessionaires. I'm not sure exactly what the details are on that, but we just have to change that in the language. So we'll have to have meetings on that ASAP. Absolutely, yes. Look at those.
So do we officially own that property?
We will as soon as we approve the quitclaim deed on Wednesday. I also sent a copy to Corey to review, and Ann, I sent you a copy just because you happen to be the expert on that kind of stuff.
We need a new well.
And then this one is a claim. This is a matching amount for a matching grant. And I brought it here just because I don't want to sign it, and I know that I'm typically the first one to sign the claims. So I brought it here for you guys to sign. I certainly can. It's not going to MBAC. It's actually going to Department of Commerce through MBAC, who wrote the grant for us. And we've already agreed to it by vote. And that is for the silos public process. What do we want the silos to be? And that's another for the updates that I forgot to mention. I attended the silos public meeting on silos area master plan. And basically it was just the first of several meetings, and it was just kind of a preliminary, so you guys didn't miss anything at this point. And Ann, while Franklin's still reading that, another meeting that I missed for you is, we had a fire call Tuesday morning, and Mike, I wanted to show you this, but before we talk with with Matt, this was from the Tri-County meeting, and
Okay.
this was private ground that was logged, and this is public ground that was challenged. And you can see the difference in the health of those forests. It's pretty telling. It's a great picture, I think.
Where was that?
I think it's outside of Helena. It says on the bottom there, and I don't remember off the top of my head. But Tri-County is Jefferson, Lewis and Clark, and Broadwater. And so it's in our forest, in the Helena forest.
Oh, okay.
Mike, I'll make you a colored copy of that. I think
Okay.
it's good information to have.
That's interesting, because the fire that they have in Lincoln right now burned through a whole project that they were trying to get done. It got shut down for one person.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand Iron Mask has a challenge against it too.
What's that?
Iron Mask had a project and that's got a challenge against it too, same individual. That's why I'm so happy to have Matt here.
Huh?
That's why I'm so happy to have Matt here.
Mr. Close enough to your time if you wanna come on up.
And before we start with Matt, are you gonna sign that claim because I wanna finish our business?
I don't know, I was against it before, so I doubt if I will.
Would you pass it back, please? This is a vote of the commission, so it's a commission-approved project, it's just a matching grant for planning. The reason I don't wanna sign it is because, my husband is the director, but there is no conflict of interest, so I will go ahead and sign it to get it taken care of. And I'm going to read from you, to you from the statement of disclosure. My husband is Executive Director of Montana Business Assistance Connection. MBAC is Broadwater County's Certified Regional Development Corp. And our Federal Economic Development Agency, EDA, and has been since 2004. Broadwater County is required to participate to receive services by EDA and CRDC. MBAC derives its funding from many sources, including EDA, CRDC, interest-bearing and revolving loan funds, grants, state contracts, and membership from local businesses and governments, city and county. EDA requires active participation by local governments to qualify for CRDC and EDA assistance. Broadwater County pays annual dues of $1 million, which is a reduction from the $15,000 that had been paid for membership for over a decade in the past. Those funds are used for community economic development services and are not used to pay salaries. Broadwater County's $1 million equates to less than 3% of MBAC's operating budget. There is no conflict of interest. This is a planning grant for a part of our community. There is no conflict of interest, so I am going to go ahead and sign this. It is for Department of Commerce. It just passes through Montana Business Assistance Connection. So there's your public disclosure.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Matt.
Morning, can I sit here?
Yes,
Yes.
wherever you want.
Great, thanks. So, if it's all right with you, I'll give you a quick introduction of my position and who I am, and then I've developed this list of questions, and I've asked about 20 sets of commissioners the questions, and I find that it helps us have a good discussion, and then in the end, I think we should definitely talk about, this is the Stonewall, well, it's a part of the Stonewall lawsuit. This is actually an amicus brief that the Lincoln Restoration Committee, Lewis and Clark County, and Powell counties have filed in support of the project. And it got me thinking that you guys might want to think about that sort of thing, or signing on to amicus briefs or friend of the court briefs in the future. And so maybe we can end with that kind of conversation, if that's all right with you guys.
Okay.
So my position is local government forest advisor. I work for the DNRC. But really my emphasis is to help local government work most efficiently with the Forest Service, which is the federal government. And you might think that seems odd. It is a little bit odd, but actually the legislature created my position in 2015 with House Bill 510 and then renewed it last year. So the legislature thinks that local government being able to work with the federal government specifically on forest management is important, and the emphasis is to reduce fire hazard, improve forest health, and maintain or prove economic viability. And I think that's obviously very important for, I'm assuming for you guys, since you have a mill still in your county. And I'm guessing that that employment and that economic activity is important to your county. I know as a whole, it's important to other counties, you know, I mean, even Lewis and Clark County thinks that having the mill is important. Because it allows us to actually do some forest management and afford to do some forest management rather than in other places where you can't sell logs. You know, the federal government's spending money they spend the money to do all the planning and all that anyway, and then they spend the money on top of that to do the treatment instead of being able to sell logs. So it's really important for us in Montana in general to be able to maintain our mills. A big part of my job is to work as part of the Forest and Focus Initiative, which is the state and DNRC's initiative to work with the federal government. So I work with Neil Simpson, or I work for and with Neil Simpson. He is the DNRC Forest Service liaison, and through that program we have granted funds to the Forest Service to help projects get done. Quite a few of them have been over in White Sulphur Springs. That's one of the places we've granted a number of grants, and they're all over the state. Telegraph Sale, which is in Powell County, but just right next to the Lewis and Clark line, got some funds, and there's some others as well. We're also working a lot on Good Neighbor Authority, which allows the state to work with the Forest Service or BLM to set up and administer sales for them or projects for them. Our focus is going to be on sales that produce commercial timber, but we feel like that authority, which came in the 2014 Farm Bill, is going to be really important for us moving ahead. It's been used, we've used it successfully a little bit, and it's been used in Idaho pretty successfully, Wisconsin, a few other places, and so we think that moving forward that will be one of the ways that we will be able to be most effective in helping the federal government manage their forests. So if you have any questions about any of that?
I don't.
Okay. How do you guys currently engage with the Forest Service? I think you have a ranger district, right? Corey Llewellyn is your ranger, is that right? Does he come and meet with you? Are there other ways that you guys engage with them?
We have quarterly meetings,
Okay,
And
BLM, BOR, Forest Service.
those are in interagency meeting then?
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
here at the same time,
Yep, okay.
fishing game.
So is it usually Corey who attends those?
Yeah, he's off right now. Beth Isle
no,
Okay.
Corey's back.
is he
Okay.
back
So-
now?
I think he was acting down in Bozeman for
Yeah,
a while,
he was,
wasn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't know he was back.
yeah,
And it was Beth Eiley who was here
Okay.
in his stead,
yeah.
and she's back in the White Sulphur area now.
So she's back in Belt maybe?
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. What about, does Bill Avey ever come and attend those meetings?
Bill has been to one-on-one
Okay,
meetings in this area and in Helena, but he hasn't come to those team meetings.
okay.
We have those quarterly.
But he has come to meet with you guys, okay, good,
Yes.
good.
And we have a good relationship too with those guys.
Okay,
Kathy Bushnell and Corey Llewellyn just asked us to write a letter to the editor supporting the Johnny Crow project, and we did that.
okay,
So we have a lot of give and take.
okay, good. And you do feel like your relationship is pretty good with them then?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Have you ever submitted comments on a Forest Service project?
Yes.
I think the commission has asked, I have.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
meant as a
commission
commission, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. And we attend the public hearings and meetings on
Okay.
the working in progress right now, and then, previous to that, smaller projects.
okay, good. Do you have a sense, do you feel like your comments have been heard and had an effect on projects, or do you know? I know it's hard to tell.
I would say, yes, they've been heard. I can't think of any really big controversies or disagreements that we've had. But I will say that, yes, they've been heard.
Okay.
Wilderness was one example, and, we ended up having a discussion during a team meeting on what is wilderness, how is it defined, what is the process?
Mhm.
So, yeah, we don't always get our way, but we've always been heard.
Okay. Well, and as you probably know, there's gonna be an opportunity to comment more about wilderness when the next iteration of the new forest plan comes out. And I think many of us are waiting to see what that looks like. So there'll be more opportunity and hopefully an opportunity to have a positive effect on how that forest plan ends up. But we'll see probably within the next year. I'm guessing, I can't remember, but I'm guessing that the next step, which should be the proposed action or the proposed alternative, is probably going to come out here fairly soon. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. So let's see, you guys, do you have a formal collaborative group in your county? I know that you have a couple of Elkhorns groups, so I suppose those are really part of your county too, because the Elkhorns are part of Broadwater, right?
Yeah, and this commission sits on the Elkhorn Working Group,
Okay,
or the Elkhorn Restoration Group, actually. We don't have a formal collaborative, like I've heard described in the forest meetings. And I
well,
would
the
like
Elkhorn
one.
Restoration Committee and
Is
I'd
it?
say the Elkhorn Working Group are both formal groups.
Okay,
And I mean, all these things, there's no set definition for them, which in some ways is a good thing. But what I consider a formal collaborative is one that meets regularly and strives to have a diverse membership and is kind of long running, doesn't just meet a couple times. And so I would say that both the Elkhorn's Working Group and the Elkhorn's Restoration Committee would fit that bill.
okay. How about a rack?
Yeah, a RAC is a little bit different in the sense that it's commissioned by the Forest Service. And usually collaboratives are from the public up. But yeah, I think there are definitely some similarities. So you do have a RAC too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Of course, our racks are probably done, right? Because doesn't look good for SRS.
No. It's been a good program, actually.
Do you guys have a watershed group?
Mm-mm.
Okay. What about, I'm sure you must have a conservation district?
Yes.
Okay. Do they get involved with the collaboratives at all? Do you know?
Yeah, they
No.
do,
You think they do?
yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen them in any of the meetings I've been to. We have DNRC there.
Who participates on the conservation district from the DNRC?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you mean on the working
DNRC's on
group?
the
Yeah,
Elkhorn
yeah.
Restoration Group, but I haven't seen Conservation
Okay,
District
I
there.
got you, yeah. Okay. Do you believe there are places on the national forest in your county where fuels reduction projects could or should be implemented to protect communities' infrastructure or municipal watersheds? Can you name a few?
The Elkhorns, for sure. Johnny Crow. I'll throw in Iron Mass, cause I heard, we got litigated, the community, everybody, got litigated on that.
Yep.
Deep Creek. Spokane Creek.
Did the Forest Service propose a project in Johnny Crow?
Yes, but it was more of a habitat for wildlife project. It involved logging, of course. But yeah, they did have a project and it just they came to that, final step and it got litigated right at the 11th hour.
So that one, so Johnny Crow is being litigated as well as Iron Mask.
Yeah,
And I suppose it's the usual suspects.
it is.
And you've also got Holloway and
Yeah,
Holloway, Duck Creek.
And those are places where you think there should be fuels reduction done.
Yeah, everything from the Deep Creek Canyon to the Cave Gulch Fire. The whole east side of the lake, basically.
Okay.
and everything in between.
And everything in between, yeah. We've been dodging bullets left and right, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
This year would be a good year, and then when it gets started, it's gonna burn. It's either gonna burn all the way back to Toston Model, or it's gonna burn all the way to Cave Gulch, one or the other. Depends on which way the wind's blowing.
Have they proposed any projects in there?
Well, the Cabin Gulch project was in there,
Okay.
but my understanding is they had 60,000 acres, and they ended up getting 6,000 done.
Yeah. These project areas are usually huge, and then they shrink the amount of work down, very significantly. In fact, if they actually did 6,000 acres, I'd be impressed. And that's something that, we've been trying to work on a little bit. Over in White Sulphur Springs, they keep working on these CEs, which are fairly small, 2,000 to 3,000 acres, but they get them planned and implemented relatively quickly. And we're currently of the opinion that that's a pretty good way of doing things, because it keeps things moving along, and it keeps they can do it relatively quickly. I don't know how long Calvin Gulch took to plan, but sometimes these projects take 5 to 10 years to plan, and then you get 6,000 acres. Well, if you planned and implemented it in 1 year and it was 2,000 or 3,000 acres, but you did one of them every year, you'd probably get just as much or more done. So we've been promoting some of these CE projects that have been happening, like over
Question.
around West Sulphur.
What does CE stand for?
Categorical exclusion.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No
I'm
problem.
probably as bad or worse than anybody else about using all this lingo that the average person can't understand. So the categorical exclusion allows them to, they still have to do lots of analysis, but they do less analysis, and they can do it in a faster time frame than a environmental assessment or an EIS. So that's why, and that's something else that came out of the Farm Bill when the Good Neighbor Authority did too, and so we've been really trying to push that kind of work. what do you think are the biggest barriers in getting more accomplished on the national forest lands in your county to reduce wildfire risk and improve forest health?
All these little, what do they call them, intervention by the people that,
Litigation.
litigation,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And the length of time for planning, especially when there's beetle kill, that just kills a project, because
Yeah.
those trees at that point have a finite
Yep,
harvest period, and the lengthy planning goes beyond that.
absolutely. And, you know, we're approaching the end of the feasibility on a lot of this beetle kill, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, we're gonna have more, in the sense that we're gonna have more fire salvage out there, which is basically the same situation or even worse.
Yeah.
The beetle epidemic appears to be settling down, mostly because they've killed most of the lodgepole, which is their host. But one of the things that's a real positive is the Copper King fire near Thompson Falls. The Forest Service got that project planned and sold in less than a year, the fire salvage, which is very, very impressive time frame for them. And so from here on out, we're holding that up as the example of how it should be done. They did go to Washington and get an emergency salvage designation, which allowed them to do that. And but that's a common thing, and they can keep doing that. And those are the kinds of things that we feel like we need to push for. And if there is a salvage opportunity in your county, I'd be more than happy to help you figure out how you push for that as well. Because quite frankly, we think that's the reason that it happened, is the smoke hadn't even settled yet. You know, the fire was contained, but the smoke hadn't even settled, and the commissioners got the district ranger to come in to talk about the fire and other stuff, and they said, we want you to salvage this, and we want you to get it done quickly, because they had an instance a few years ago where it took so long that the wood was worthless. And the commissioners, I think, were the first ones that said, we want you to get this done in a timely manner. And then other people in the community did too, but it worked. I mean, they got it done in less than a year, which is pretty darn good. In fact, I think they maybe even got, we'll see, but they may have gotten their sales sold as fast as the DNRC. There's kind of a toss-up here in the end to see how it all shakes out, but it's very similar time frame to the DNRC, which is really good.
So we've got one of those up Holloway right now.
You do? Did
What
that
it
burn?
is it's a microburst blowdown of huge fir trees that they blew down last September. And all they did is go up there and cut them off the road and put up a sign, no firewood cutting of timber sale. It's still all laying there.
Are they planning a sale?
They said they're planning a sale, but I haven't seen it put out to bid anywhere.
Hmm.
And it goes from the top of the West Fork all the way to across the Holloway almost.
So it's pretty good size then.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a mile long by a half mile wide.
Wow. Wow.
And it's all blown down huge fir.
Huh. Yeah, they should really be working on that.
Well,
Well,
you should really be working on that, is also what you're saying, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest, I will follow up with Corey, because I've met him a few times and I feel like I'm getting to know him a little bit, and I will ask him. But I would really encourage you, the next time you have an opportunity, ask him, how's that going? And, you know, it should take less than a year to get that done. Unless there's something out, you know, some big mitigating or other big mitigation they have to do, but I can't imagine what that is. You know, in Thompson Falls, they got their fire salvage done in less than a year. these projects they're doing over around White Sulphur Springs, Sheep Creek, Moose Creek, all those, they're getting all those done in around a year. I mean, the template's out there. They know how to do that. Now, each little team has their own personalities and way of doing things, but we need to keep pointing out that, hey, your team across the, in the next district or wherever is accomplishing this, and we want you to do the same. So it helps. Pressure helps.
Would you, after you talk to him, just let us know how
Okay.
that went, and then maybe we can follow up and have a meeting and maybe put together a plan together?
Mhm.
And like I said, we have a really good relationship with Corey. I think he's been really good for the community. So if this is an opportunity to even make that stronger,
Yeah.
we've got a lot of wins we
Yeah.
can grasp onto.
And that's my sense of all this stuff, is I think, in the end, it helps make everybody's relationship better. Everybody's happier because things are getting done, and it's generally a good thing to encourage them to get this stuff done in a timely manner, for sure. Okay, yeah, I can do that. Anything else that you can think of that I can help you with in engaging with the Forest Service? We will talk about this litigation stuff. Anything else that comes to mind?
It'd be nice when they're eliminating all these roads, if they could leave that so you could at least walk on it. I mean, they've got stuff done on, you can go up in there in some places where they've done these roads, there's a high trail and a low trail. The high trail the elk use, the low trail the deer use. Nobody crosses that road because you can't walk through it.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's frustrating that they can't leave a trail in there. Have you talked to them about it?
I've talked to a couple people at some of these meetings down here about it.
Yeah, I would keep talking to them about it, because they can do that. Sometimes they don't like to, because then it leaves a vector for someone to ride a machine on it, but they can get around that. I mean, there's lots of places where they have trails where they put up barriers to make it hard for
Motorized people to
motorcycles.
get
Yeah,
there, yeah, exactly.
So they can do it.
Yeah.
It can be done. I'll mention that to Corey as well and see what his reaction to that is. Anything else that you can think of?
No.
Not me.
Okay. So you are engaged in the forest plan revision process?
Yes. Yep.
Well, and I tried to send a few things out to you guys on their last iteration, which I think was now I can't even remember, there's so many steps in the process. I think it was the proposed action. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I tried to send some stuff to commissioners, and I don't think I did a particularly good job. I've revised some of that, and I think when this draft decision comes out, which will be the next iteration, I will send you some more information that hopefully you will find helpful when you go to craft your comments. And absolutely feel free to get a hold of me, and I'll do what I can to help you with that stuff. I mean, I'm no expert at it by any means, but in the last year or so, I've spent a lot more time thinking about it than I have before, and I think I have some thoughts about how we can be somewhat effective on it anyway.
It'd be excellent, thank you.
You bet.
So what does the Forest Service road maintenance, do they do any at all?
They do some, their budgets are definitely being cut. From what I've seen, and I don't know what happens over here, I'm more familiar with, like the Lincoln Ranger District, which is the other end of your forest. Over there, they had some money most years to blade and do some maintenance on the main roads. And then the only other maintenance that was happening was if there was a timber sale. Then there was generally quite a bit of work done to the road. And that's the other advantage of helping them figure out how to get more projects done, because then they actually do have an opportunity to do some road work. Otherwise, they're, waiting for some money to get sent from Congress, and, let's face it, they're not gonna get that much from Congress to do road work. So that's another reason why they should be doing more active management. So I don't know, it'd be a good question for Corey, to ask him, what are they doing for road maintenance? And, do they get a little bit of money every year to do that? I'm pretty sure they do. I think they have a basic maintenance contract that they do every year. I think that Lance Stallnaker does it. I think a lot of the time he's out of Helena, I think.
I know they used to have those set up in their budgets for that road maintenance.
It has been shrinking, but my sense is they still have some. All right, so yeah, let's talk just a little bit about this litigation stuff. So the Stonewall project is the one that I'm the most familiar with. That is near Lincoln. RY bought a sale from it, and then the plaintiffs or litigants got a injunction to stop it, and one of the points they got the injunction on was that fire wasn't imminent. Well, I'm hopeful that the judge won't be granting injunctions for that reason again, because he's been shown to have been wrong on that, because the project's on fire right now as we speak, as you alluded to earlier.
Right.
So I'm hopeful that the judges are going to start getting a little bit more educated about those kinds of things. But what I have here is the I think it's basically the application that I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. They have to ask permission to file a friend of the court or an amicus brief, and I think that's what this is here. But it has a whole bunch of